everybody, and welcome to the very first episode of the NathanGraves Show, starring me, Nathan Graves. And this podcast is an interview podcast, basically, where I interview different people every week. And for the inaugural episode, I decided to get somebody a little special. I got one of the minds behind Sailor Moon Abridged, a member of Team 4-Star, an awesome person all around, Megami33.
Hell yeah!
Now, with very few people actually listening to this who don't know who you are, why don't you tell a little something about yourself?
Let's see. I am 24 years old now. I basically have been doing parody work, voice acting, singing, writing ever since I was like in high school. My dream is to become an animator and make my own show. And I got into art college, School of Visual Arts, and got a bachelor degree in fine arts where after 2 years of not really finding too much big work, mostly freelancing, I finally have a job at a small company where I'm part of the animation team and animating for. I guess I can't really talk about it until it's online, but yeah, that's very exciting. And I still do voice work and parody work on the side.
Now, you said that you went to school for animating. What made you decide to go into animation?
Oh God, I've loved drawing and animation ever since I can remember. My mom always jokes around saying that when I was young, I never talked. I never spoke. Um, but when I did speak, it would be quoting something from a Disney movie, or I would be singing the song, like just memorizing everything. And it just showed that I really love Disney movies. Um, and I just wanted to recreate the same feelings that I got, the same like excitement, like sadness, happiness whenever I was watching a cartoon. And it wasn't just Disney; it was everything from Tex Avery, Hanna-Barbera, um, God, like just I mean Warner Brothers, Nickelodeon, Cartoon Network, just like I was in such a great time period for when cartoons came out that I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to make my own and just get the same excitement that I got when watching a cartoon and do my own interpretation of it for people.
Now, as for your animation, do you have any specific influences, or does it just bounce around with all the different type of animators?
Uh, if anything, if I had to pick, definitely from Disney. Um, I was heavily influenced by Satoshi Tajiri, which is the creator of Pokemon. I really got into the Pokemon show when I was little. I was probably like 9 or 8 or something. And when I first saw the first episode, I was just totally hooked, and I wanted to know more about that show. And I got to see the actual comics, and the art style was just fantastic, way better than the anime. So definitely Disney, Pokemon, Warner Brothers. I always loved Warner Brothers animation. Just watching Animaniacs and Batman, that was always really cool. That inspired me a lot. Just bits and pieces of just all the cartoons that I've watched over the years. But I have to say, like those big three were probably um, my biggest inspirations.
And when you said, "Mom, Dad, I want to go to college and get a degree in animation," were they supportive of that, or were they a
Believe it,
little against it?
believe it or not, they were very supportive. They were always supportive of me doing art and acting and stuff. They were so supportive that they didn't even want me to worry about Hebrew school and stuff like that because we're not really religious, but my family likes to uphold the Jewish side from my grandfather just as like a bit of respect.
Hmm.
So my brothers went to Hebrew school, and they actually were nice enough to get me acting and art classes on the side. So I would do that. I did art foundation in middle school. I studied acting a little bit, and no, they were very supportive. They're still supportive now. I couldn't have asked for better parents, honestly, because I know this day and age, like it's really hard to want to pursue a career in art and knowing that that field doesn't give you that much money.
Right.
So no, they were very supportive of me, and I'm very happy that they were still.
Now I want to get into your internet stuff a little bit more since that's what you're most known for. When did you start doing like parodies and stuff like that for SMA, and then later on with Team Four Star?
Oh boy. Oh, turning back the clock. Um, Believe it or not, I started doing parodies when I first entered college. So that was kind of funny. As I was starting to learn animation, I found Yu-Gi-Oh! Abridged, and I loved it. That got me hooked. I showed my friends; they all loved it. Um, and I wanted to try my own. I'm sure there were others at the time. That was probably like there was Naruto too and everything. I don't remember the other first ones that also, but I watched Naruto the Abridged. I watched Yu Yu Hakusho, Lupin, all the ones that the boys used to do. Um, so then I did my first abridged was actually not Sailor Moon. I did a Pokemon one. And some of my fans, they're still with me today, always keep asking if they could see that one again, which I mean, that's like shit. That was like back when I was fooling around, and I mean, we were all there when we were first making our first abridges. Like, you just did it. You didn't really care, but when you look back, you're like, nah, oh shit. What was I thinking? So I only did 2 episodes of Pokemon Abridged from my early account, my first account, which was Suds33. Um, I did 2 episodes of that. I was moving on to a third one, and then I got kicked off YouTube. So that was depressing. Then I started a new account, which was Megami33, which I actually named after one of my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh cards at the time, which was in the yeah, that's when I was starting to get into Yu-Gi-Oh with my little brother, and he got the Yu-Gi-Oh deck, the Yami deck, and I got the Kaiba deck. And that card is in that deck. It's like the Gwaken. It's got a weird first name, and then the second name is Megami, and it's a fairy card. Um, so then I started doing fandubs, Pokemon fandubs, because I like Pokemon, and I was always interested in watching people do English translations from Japanese songs, so I wanted to try my hand at it, and it got me some of my popularity back actually before I even did SMA. So that was kind of nice that people were just noticing those before. Um, and then my friends, were asking me whatever happened with that Pokemon abridge that you did. And I was like, it got kicked off, I don't really have time for it and junk like that. And they were just saying like, well, we would like to help you with something like that. Maybe we could do a show that won't get, taken off so easily. And I'm like, okay. So we were thinking about it. And of course, Eric was the one that actually said it. He's like, why not Sailor Moon? We all grew up with it. And I was like, yeah, that's fine. So we all agreed to do Sailor Moon because we all grew up with the dub. Bunny and Eric grew up with the Japanese, especially. Bunny has all the original manga.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like you go and look at it now, like the pages are falling apart, but they're like relics. Um, and yeah, they knew a lot of their Sailor Moon history, so that helped a lot. And I knew a lot about the dub, so we just did a combination of that, added a few more people to join in the fun, and yeah, we did Sailor Moon Abridged.
Now with Sailor Moon Abridged, that was how I found out about you because a few people recommended it to me since I was doing the abridged interviews at the time. Especially Taka meant told me about you, and then that's how I met you, and I introduced you to all the other people that I talked to, which I apologize for, by the way. But I also wanted to know, like how like meeting all these other people really helped, and how you became a part of Team Four Star.
Yeah, I guess it was because of the interview and you introducing me to some of the other guys, and then eventually I met, everybody, and we were just chatting a lot, and I mean, I don't know really how it initially begun. I think at the time Lanny, Vegeta, and Masako were doing the movies, the Dragon Ball Z movies. And I guess it was just always a thought in the back of their mind that it would be great to do Dragon Ball Z. But man, that was just back then when they were just working on their own stuff. And I guess I was doing so well at the time that they thought it was cool to talk to me. But no, they're also friendly. They're also funny. That was an alarm. um, they're also funny to hang out with. They're just like really nice guys, and it was just cool to just like be able to meet other people doing this, and just everyone was just kind of enjoying everyone else's work. Um, I guess just later on, as things were coming, like getting developed, Scott, for some, I mean, I don't hear it. I guess I sort of hear it now. Scott thought that my voice was very close to um, the English version of Bulma's voice, and I think a little bit of the Japanese, and he kind of liked that in between. Um, and he's a fanboy for the Japanese, so anything closer to the Japanese, the better. So I guess that's why. And at first I wasn't really getting the voice, but as I kept going, it was getting better and better. So yeah, and I actually do enjoy doing Bulma. Bulma has a lot of funny lines. Um, I also just offered just do. I think I said I wanted to do Pilar because like Pilar wasn't around that much, and I like Pilar. He's cute.
Wasn't he only around for like one episode and like one small bit in one of the movies?
Yeah. Also, he was in the Christmas special too.
Oh yeah.
He's flying in a plane with Yamcha. Because yeah, that was his whole stitch. He was best friends with Yamcha in Dragon Ball. And he was around there all the time. But then as the show progressed, Dragon Ball Z always focused on, the stronger fighters. They didn't focus on any of the minor characters anymore. So that's why you barely see Oolong too, the pig. And like Chaozu and Tien. I mean, you look at Dragon Ball and they were there all the time. No. That's why I always say Dragon Ball was cooler. It had a more interesting story, and it had so many characters, but you appreciated. You got to spend time with each character. Whereas here, it's just like, who's Goku fighting now? Basically.
And how long they're going to be screaming for.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I mean, the show makes you feel like you don't need all these characters because Goku ends up saving everybody.
Yeah.
He basically has killed almost every main villain in the show. I would know. I've seen that show so many times. Way too many times.
Well, technically you didn't kill Frieza.
I guess you can argue that. Because Trunks kills him. Yeah.
And Gohan kills Cell, and everybody in the world killed Majin Buu.
Goku helped Gohan. Gohan didn't do it by himself, so I don't count that one.
It was mainly due to spiritual support, though, and Vegeta's distraction. Vegeta did more than Goku, if you ask me. Anyway,
Fair point. I'm not a huge DBZ fan, but I mean, I've watched it so many times that I can basically tell you what happens throughout the whole show.
Well, since you aren't a DBZ fan, what are your fandoms? Like, what are you a huge fan of? Obviously Pokemon, but what else?
Sailor Moon, Pokemon, Sayuki, that was like my first anime from ADV films that got me hooked, and like found all the other old school animes like Slayers and Orphan and stuff like that. Yeah, I guess like really, if I had to pick like three, those are my biggest. Those are the biggest ones.
What about in terms of like Western animation? Like, are there any cartoons that you particularly like? Like, especially with the cartoons that they're airing now.
I mean, back in the day, God, I could name so many that I loved. It's hard to choose. I mean, this day of age, I hate to say it, I don't watch too much TV now. I always liked Adventure Time. I mean, granted, I'm a bit of like one of those like I don't want to call myself a snob, but I'm like one of those reviewers that just always like finds something wrong with something, and then if you do explain it to someone else, someone's like, "Well, you're just not having fun with it." Adventure Time I love. It's funny, but sometimes it ends on a weird note. And I mean, I guess that's what cartoons are supposed to do, but I don't know. I always thought there was supposed to be some sort of resolution. SpongeBob used to do that, and now it's just as weird as ever. Regular show, I'm not really a fan of either. I don't know why so many people are, because, like, oh, it's edgy, because they say shit once in a while, and that makes it a cool show, even though the world they're in, like, makes no fucking sense. And I understand it's a cartoon, but there needs to be somewhat of an idea where we are and why there are characters like this, but whatever. Well, I mean, I saw the thesis film for the same guy who made that show, so it kind of explains an idea what this world is. And let's just say it involves a lot of drugs. Um, Geez, what else is yeah, there's not too many. I know there's a lot of good shows coming out or are out, like Motor City. I've seen one episode of that, and I had a few friends from my school that worked on it. And that looks cool. I do like the style of it. Um, yeah, not. I've been watching a lot of, like, actual TV shows and less cartoons, which I feel bad about. I'm starting to try to watch more stuff on cartoons, so I get like a little idea of like what's being out and what's being shown and what people think is a good idea at the time to put. Because producers always have something in mind that if kids are into it, that's the show they need to put out.
Right.
So I try to think about that too.
I'm actually surprised you didn't say My Little Pony.
Oh, that's true. That's about the well, I don't want everybody to get tired of it because almost everybody and their grandmother thinks My Little Pony is the greatest shit on earth. Which, I mean, it's not the greatest. I mean, it's cute. It's the thing I think a lot of people like about it is just it's so nostalgia of a lot of other cartoons, I think, thrown in together. I mean, like, there used to be a lot of shows back in the day when I was younger that had a lot of sing-alongs, and I was really into those too, like the Muppet Show and stuff like that. And just people just like having songs to sing to from their shows. And the the fact of the matter is that they're so smart about like how they're developing the world and everything. I mean, yeah, it's great. It's a great show. I mean, other than like the simple animation errors, sometimes nitpicky, a little bit of the friendship messages squished in, but otherwise it's fine. I really don't have too many complaints with it.
It's amazing to see like a show that's meant for little girls that have grown men arguing about certain specifics. Because I saw that at A-Kon when I was there.
I feel so bad for men, honestly, because girls seem to never have too much trouble when it comes to watching a guy show, or at least what is labeled as a guy show. Because I had two brothers, and they really got me into a lot of their stuff, and I didn't watch too many girly stuff. Like I had Barbies and My Little Pony, sure, but like I loved the Turtles, I loved Power Rangers. We had all the toys for those. And just I like the grittier and just like cooler shows that were meant for boys, and it doesn't seem to affect it. But when a guy watches it, they're a pansy. They're like, "What the fuck are you watching this fruity shit for?"
It's a double standard,
Um,
which is pretty dumb.
and like girls seem to get a little more freedom from guys, and I do feel really bad that I can't really understand. I'm sure I could with a different situation, but I feel bad that I can't understand their situation with just like just enjoy the show. But yeah, poor bronies.
Yeah.
And I mean, bronies are. I hate these term names too. Apparently, a girl who likes the show also has a nickname, which I think is really retarded. And people have called me a brony, which makes no sense because that's the term for boys. I'm just, I guess a pony or whatever the fuck they call them. I'm sorry I'm cursing so much. I usually don't. Well, if I'm
No,
chilled, I just say whatever comes out of my mouth. I'm
no,
a New Yorker. That's
dude,
how we
it's
roll.
fine.
New Yorkers, that's how we roll. Bada bing. Um, but fuck. I lost my train of thought. I
Uh,
always do this. I ramble on too much about a topic, but basically, yeah, bronies. That was it. That there's these term names for them, and it's just like I don't think there's really a need for names, but I mean, bronies are very talented people. They're probably even more creative than our fan base for girls because you see all these like you see people making music, people making parodies and stuff like that, and it's just it's very creative. It's fun. It's just cool to see like what comes out of just enjoying a show, just the fandom.
right.
You know, I mean, yeah, there's always that creepy vibe, I mean,
Yeah.
you can't blame me for that. But I mean, yeah, everybody has the right to watch whatever they want. They shouldn't be judged, just because they're a girl or a boy.
And recently, like, you've been invited as a guest to a few cons, namely YomaCon and also Anime Evolution in Vancouver. When you were first announced as like a guest with the rest of Team 4-Star, how did that feel? Since I'm guessing this was the first time you were a guest for any convention.
It's a cool feeling, but at the same time, I've always had that a deep like worry about it because it's great to be called a guest. Don't it's the perks are great. It's wonderful, but I always feel like I'm just not. I mean, I don't want to say like the boys aren't meant to be guests or I'm not meant to be a guest, but I just feel like when someone's a guest, they've done something in the industry, like a voice actor or an artist or something. And then I know we're parody artists, but it always just still kind of bugged me to be on the same stand as Vic Mignogna, which I have been. Like it's completely different thing being a web artist, parody artist compared to someone who's an actor, a professional actor or a professional comic artist or something like that. I mean, I try not to get too into, to my head about being like, oh, I'm a guest, so I'm more important than everyone else. But I mean, if other people, I mean, it's been an increase for people to be parody artists and guests. So I mean, I try not to let it get to me, but I still don't feel like I'm up there. But I mean, I do enjoy it. Who doesn't? Um, it's a nice feeling. It's always nice to be appreciated. That's the thing. I'm not really much of an attention person, but it is nice to be appreciated for just the little things you do, because I mean, editing these episodes can sometimes be a real pain. I mean, just look at Scott, who goes crazy with editing, and I'm sure he'll agree just as I do, just that you do all this work, and it's just nice to be, just nice to see the people that enjoy it, just nice to be thanked for it. Just a little appreciation is just nice. So that's what I really try to get out of it when I'm a guest, if that makes any sense. It could be me just rambling.
No sense at all. No, it makes sense. No, you're a multi-talented person. You
Oh,
draw.
why,
You
thank you.
you draw. Yeah, no need to be modest or anything. You draw. You animate. You sing. You act. Which do you think is your forte?
I like to say drawing, considering I've done that the longest. Singing, I've never had any choir training or any vocal training other than a few voice acting classes that I took in online and at workshops in the city or at a con. So acting is just I mean, acting I have done when I was younger, ever since I was like 5 and stuff. So I did have a lot of theater experience as well as drawing. I did both acting classes and drawing classes very young. Um, but as I got into high school, I got really bad nerves. I didn't like performing in front of people. So I kind of quit that and did more drawing. But as I got into college, it kind of revived my love of acting. Like I did like acting. I was just nervous how I looked when I act. But when I started writing scripts and thinking about character voices, I just started experimenting with that and just realizing that like yeah, I mean, I loved a lot of cartoons because of the characters and just like how they acted and what did they sound like, and just for me to be able to do that and then show them to classes and then like people enjoying it, like I wanted to get into it more. So and then that way I could enjoy acting again but just not be seen. Like it's just such a great feeling that I can do like the craziest shit ever and like nobody will see how I look. But so with that, I mean, my acting experience is not as good as it is now. Singing again, I have no formal training. I just kind of went with it. So I would have to say probably drawing is my strongest forte because I keep doing it. I mean, I've been a little like off on it, but now because of this new job, I've been drawing more and more. So that's it. As a lot of people have told me, because I've been depressed about having not drawn for a while, it's a skill that never really goes away. You just gotta get back into it, and it's kind of true. I mean, I look at my stuff now and I'm like, oh, well, I can draw.
I want to know one of your funniest con stories, because I know you go to a lot of cons, and I know you have a couple of moments where something hilarious has happened?
Yeah, I mean, I've had a few stalkers, so usually I don't go to cons alone. I never go to cons alone. I mean, it's more fun to go with somebody. I mean, I usually go with my gang or I go with a group of friends that I met online. But yeah, I'm usually very nervous to go alone now because it's not like anybody's done something crazy to me, but they'll constantly follow me or like, they'll try to touch, someplace they're not supposed to touch. Um,
I told you before that was an accident.
you bum. Anyway, yeah, there was one funny moment at like Anime Next, I think 2 years ago, where this guy was following me, and at first he was it was really funny because it was like the typical like shows you watch where like you could tell someone's spying on someone. So like the first time we saw him, he was reading the program guide and putting it in front of his face. And just like every time we turned away and turned back, he would get closer and closer, kind of like Ninja Cat, So, we kept like walking away and trying to lose him, and he would be right there. And it got funnier because later on he was hiding as he got closer, but then he put the book down, and then it seemed like he did want to be seen. And Bunny, Chris Ricks told me just don't acknowledge him. If you acknowledge him, that's what he wants. And I was doing that, but he kept following us. One of the funniest parts about that, and I'll end the story there because he doesn't follow me anymore. Um, my we were at a photo shoot, a Sailor Moon photo shoot, and he was inching around a tree. It was such a funny sight. It was almost like he was trying to be Solid Snake but failing. Um, Basically, he at the end of the story, he just wanted to give me a birthday present, but he was too shy to ask because sometimes Anime Next falls kind of close to my birthday. But yes, most of the people that have stalked me have either apologized to me or they don't anymore because of my friends telling them to back off. On a funnier story, though, a nicer story from a fan. I'm sorry, I don't remember your name. This was actually before Anime Evolution. I did one of my vocals with my friend, and I was tired, so I was just joking around. I said that, if anybody gets me a case of Coke, because if anybody knows me, I'm addicted to Coca-Cola. I know you know, Nathan.
Yeah, yeah.
I've been that's one of my resolutions to cut down, and I've actually been doing good with that. I've been drinking a lot more water. But I joked around saying that anybody gets me a case of Coke as a present, next time I go to a con, I'll give them a kiss. And Britt was there. Whip of Alchemy was there. She's like, you probably shouldn't promise that. And I did take it back. I was like, I'm just kidding, just kidding. Um, Anime Evolution. There was a fan that came up to me with a case of Coke. And he was nice enough, just like, I'm just fine with a hug. So that was one of my funniest and favorite fan gifts. And he gave me a whole case of Coke. Actually, later on, too, he also gave me a Chopper plush. He was very, very sweet guy. Um, but yeah, it was just funny getting a whole case of Coke. And then I shared it with the boys in the room. But yeah, I've gotten nice presents, never anything creepy. The most creepiest things that have happened is what I've stated, just people following me, or trying to touch my hair. But nothing too drastic.
And with the whole like guys sneaking around thing, I just imagine like somebody like dressed up as a bush just walking, and when you looked at you, they just stop, like in Looney
The
Tunes.
guy that was inching around the tree, I wouldn't have been surprised if he did that, honestly.
And it's funny that you mentioned the whole case of Coke thing when last year at OhioCon, Samurai KH2, a friend of ours, got me a 36 pack of Coke of Dr. Pepper just for me.
That's true. Well, I was staying at his place, and he's like, you want anything? I'm like, as long as there's Coke there, I'm fine. Which I am a little better about it now, but because I don't drink alcohol really or coffee. It's really that type of buzz drink or that sort of energy drink that I use to make myself feel better, or at least trick myself into make myself like if I'm tired, I'm like, if I just had a Coke, I feel so much better. Which in actuality, soda is not good for you and does not give you an energy boost. It makes you crash, which that has happened to me before.
Yeah, it may not be good for you, but it certainly is delicious.
It's fantastic.
I guess we'll end this off with what do you see yourself in the future? Do you see yourself being a huge animator, being like the next Lauren Fausser, Craig McCracken, or Genny Tartakovsky even?
I don't think I'll ever be as good as those. My style is very, very cartoony and very kiddish. But I mean, I've always loved kids, so I always wanted to make a show more for them, but just a little smarter, you know? Like, I don't want to, kids should never be looked down. Kids are smart. So I want to make cool shows like that. I mean, our shows back in the day, yeah, they were kind of stupid, but they did have some complex things when you think about it.
Yeah.
Um, Not like Rugrats or Hey Arnold. I mean, like those are just simple like slice of life kind of stuff. But Rugrats a little bit because then you got to see the mind of a baby and just how they thought. Um, but I definitely now with this animation job that I just got at the company, like it's definitely giving me more drive to get back into what I originally wanted, which I want to get better at animation. I want to start developing shows. You know, if I can on the side, I would love to do voice acting, but animation has always been my number one passion before acting. So I would like to just get out there, try to get my ideas out there and maybe voice in a few things or two.
All right, and once again, Megami, thank you very much for your time, and thank you for being first guest on this new podcast.
The best guest is first. Woo!
And
I kid.
yeah, sure you do. And check out our YouTube channel, Megami33, and Megami30. Do you still have Megami33? Is that down again?
Nah, I'm working on getting it back. It's annoying with this copyright, but thanks to one kid, he taught me how to do it, but I think I have to redo it again for some reason. So basically, if you want to see any fanned up work or anything, you go on Megami36. If you want to see any vlogs from the SMA crew all together, you go to the SMA channel. And that's the same thing. It's just YouTube/Megami36, YouTube/SMA channel, YouTube/SMA series for SMA, which is also having difficulties. But the new episode is on there, and we also have an SMA blip.
And also follow her on Twitter at Megami33, and also follow myself on Twitter at NathanGraves99 so that you can find out who the next guest on the Nathan Graves Show will be. And that'll do it for this first episode of the Nathan Graves Show. Join me again next week with my next guest. And this is Nathan Graves 99 signing off.
Bye!